king. They picked the Balios, the rightful kings anyway, and they became known as the puppet kings. They did whatever they were told until they were told to fight the French. Rather than trying to fight the French, we signed an alliance. Baliol found himself in prison for in Normandy, and Robert de Brou. They were all French Norman. They came over to England, fairly powerful, came to Scotland. They were given land by David I in the southwest of Scotland. Strategic president, a pope, a leader, whatever. If you're important in your own eyes or somebody else's eyes, when you die, if you die, there's a protocol. Now, America, maybe it's old enough, remember 1963, remember Giant can't remember her name, that's how long she was there. And she was asked by the Queen to form the government. 2 days later, the Queen was dead. A long time of it, that's for sure. It's kind of weird. They just showed you, summed her up that 2 days before she passed away at the age of 96. You can update it, you can correct it. I think, see, the people say you should cancel this. No, you can correct it. If there's wrong information, fair enough. If it's bad information, if it's bad news, learn from it. Make sure it doesn't happen again. Slavery still happening. Usually, I think a lot of the agricultural revolution, the sort of pulling on the housing, and you build your way up. And as you build your way up, the next wave comes in. You look like Indians, so you basically open Indian restaurants. Nowadays, most will have the word Bangladesh in there as well. Like Wally, we've got a lot of Polish guys working for us. But the Eastern Europeans came in, and then more recently asylum seekers, etc. A lot of them come to Glasgow because of their pretty decent attitude. Not always getting treated in the best cities, so of course when America was discovered and all trade moved to the west coast, that's when it became very, very important. And I've always said it was settled in front of us, it goes way back to the 6th century actually, the origins. 1560 the Presbyterians took over Scotland, they destroyed all the beautiful churches. This one survived. This is the most Presbyterian Protestant city of them all. But the craftsmen in charge, they say they're not doing it. So they stood round it and protected it from the crowds. They let them smash the windows and the statues because that was idolatry. Building on the left, that's the largest public or municipal building in Britain in the 19th century. Imagine that during the Empire, the largest. It shows you the wealth in Glasgow. This is Infirmary. I like this museum on the left hand side. All museums and art galleries are free of charge in Scotland. High Street closed. Oh jeez. What diversion. I wasn't expecting this one. This is a high street. This was the main street at one time. Building on the left is a religious museum. And it's great. You go in there and all the different religions are there. Muslim, Hindu, Sikh, Seventh-day Adventist, Roman Catholic, Presbyterian, Judaism, everything. Everything's in there. And it kind of cross-references when you're reading about them, and like people like Abraham and Moses and Jesus and Adam, kind of highlighted and let's say kids know that they've got something in common, which I kind of like. Building to the right-hand side, what are they doing there? That's the oldest building in Glasgow, obviously needing a little bit of renovation. This whole area belonged to the cathedral at one time, and that was sort of the man in charge's house. It goes back to the 1400s. This all ripped down. The 1960s, they raped the city. Thankfully, there was a lot of the bigger buildings. It was quite a poor city, so they couldn't afford to change them. So while other cities were being really destroyed, a lot of the beautiful buildings survived, just not deliberately. I mean, they wouldn't destroy them nowadays, but... So we're getting diverted round here. We're going to see the... Let's see if I can remember the name. Necropolis. Necropolis is from the Greek for the city of the dead. This is the most famous graveyard in Scotland. The tourist thing. So that's the cathedral there on the left. So if you're through in Glasgow, you can get along here quite easy from the city centre. And it is pretty good because that one survived. That lets you know what all the churches look like. But up here, some central belt of Scotland is built in sandstone. It used to be at the bottom of the ocean. It kind of got squashed between America and Europe. So this is still a bit messy down here, shop-wise, etc. But they're just in the stages changing them all. So we're going to go around. Time is it? Okay, good for time. I like Ingram Street. I've no idea what the streets are. They've saved the old building. Thank you. They've knocked the pub down. There was an art centre there for years. It wasn't really an art centre. This is massive investment. All these new buildings up here, all students. Everything's students. And once they do this bit here, this will be finished in the area. Down at the bottom, the clock tower, we're doing the cathedral and the clock. That was at Glasgow. This was at the High Street. This was the main street. But down there to the left takes you along to the Irish Quarter. It takes you to Glasgow Green. That's where they had the big fairs and celebrations. They still do. They have concerts down there. The People's Palace. That's all glass. It's a lovely historic place, and it's a bit weird as well because you go around one corner, it's a mess, almost scary looking. It's not scary at all. I was street, but they've all closed again. That's a monkey again. Up to the right hand side, Nelson Mandela Square or Place. This was the first city in the world to give Nelson Mandela the freedom of the city. He was still in prison at the time. One of my favourite political stories is story 1970s San Francisco. They filmed it up here. So when you get to the top of the loop down to the left, they've used that for San Francisco. Oh, they just filmed, you know what they also filmed last year, or 2 years ago now? The only problem with Sandstone, if you look at the church on the left, this is a free church. It's a kind of strict Presbyterian. You'll see the erosion, get an awful lot of erosion with the sandstone. Just maybe go for concrete and glass now. So down onto the main road, we're going to cross the Docklands area where many people, the vast majority of Scots people leaving Scotland left from here to go out to the world, mostly to Canada. There's a few went to Philly. New York, but a lot of them would have went through Canada. Been there about 3 weeks this year, comedian. We've never been in it before. It's circular, no corners, etc.